We're going to do a jab drill. Can everyone get up? And all I want you to do on this first drill, it's kind of a comfort drill. All I want you to do is understand the true boxer stance. It's right here. Now, one way to actually line this up is if I'm sitting here and I have a rifle, I put the butt of that rifle in my shoulder, I'm looking down the sights, and I'm right here. Okay? And I want to hold this position on my opponent. Okay? So you want to be able to keep the crosshairs of that rifle right here on your opponent. Just like that. So as he moves, you have to adjust the crosshairs. What happens in a lot of cases is we get confused between proper sight alignment, step over, and line of sight. Okay? Just because we have line of sight, we think we're where we need to be. But our proper sight alignment is actually here. You got me? And what happens is you end up standing here without moving your stance and punching this way, which is the equivalent of shooting a rifle from right here. Guaranteed you will do that once. If you ever fire a rifle from the center of your chest, you will not do it again. So we want to avoid doing this. We want to avoid from firing a rifle here. Line it back up and peel them right back where it needs to be. Okay? So I want you to line up with each other. Like stand here. I want you to fire your jab. And then, yeah, just step off. Keep your stance, step off. And I want your opponent to fire his jab from here. And I want your opponent to move. As you move, I want to keep and acquire. Stop. Look where your rifle is. Now, slide your foot back. Boom, you're right back where you need to be. Sir. You understand? So I want you to make the small steps. What we do is we make the steps too large. As we move, if we move too large, we have to come out and back in. But as you move with smaller steps, you can actually hold this on your opponent. No matter how much you try to hold that stance, the wider your steps, it's almost impossible. It is almost impossible. But you don't have to. We feel as though whenever we're in danger, my opponent's coming at us, we have to move in order to get the clearing to attack. What we do is we take our stance, he comes at us, we lose it, and hope he gives us enough room to regain it. All right? I don't like my opponent being in control of what I can do. I don't like to need his permission to get back to what I want to do. So if I already have this stance, if he comes at me, I don't want to relinquish that stance. I don't have to give it away. You understand? And the steps don't have to be large. I don't have to run away from him. Okay? So we're going to concentrate right now just on holding our stance. Not really throwing so much. You can throw it just to be comfortable. But I want you to move and hold this on your opponent. And as you move and you change direction, I want your opponent to change it from your hip and just constantly see your opponent right here. And see how difficult it is naturally for you to hold that stance. But as you work on it and as you see that as an objective, it becomes easier. The reason why we haven't done it naturally is because we never saw it as an objective. We never saw it. We thought we were great with just having line of sight. You know, just to be able to see our opponent, we felt we were okay. But you got to look at it as this. If you have a scope on a rifle, and you're looking through that scope and you see your opponent, or you see the target, or you see whatever you're going to get, and there's a crosshair, the only thing you're going to hit is what's on that crosshair. The fact that you have a scope and this target is on the edge of that scope here, we don't get any alarm. We don't move and put him back on the crosshair because we can see him. As long as we can see him in that scope, we don't move. You understand? But we have to be more conscious of the fact that the only shot that's going to count is the one that's on that crosshair. So if he moves slightly, you move slightly. You constantly put the crosshairs back on your opponent. Okay? But we think it's okay when they move and we just stand here a little, and hesitate. And they'll move right here and we won't move until they take a huge step and then we feel we got to do something. It's too late. If he takes small steps and fires, it's too late. Okay, so you don't have to wait for that. You move off of his movement. If he takes a small step, then I take a small step. And I put him right back where I need him. And I'm constantly putting him right on the crosshairs of that rifle. He should not feel comfortable in any position. So when he moves, every time he moves and he reacquires where I am, he should be looking down range. He should be looking down the barrel of that rifle every time he looks at me. You know, that's the objective you want to hold. Okay? So let's move around with that. I'll walk around the room and I'll kind of help everybody out.